The now is the only point of access to the field. Have you ever noticed how often we miss the most powerful moment of our lives? We spend countless hours analyzing the past, planning for the future, strategizing, remembering, anticipating. Yet in this constant mental time travel, we overlook the only moment that truly exists, the present. What if I told you that this seemingly simple reality, this moment of now, is actually your only point of access to the entire field of possibilities? Today, we're exploring a profound truth recognized by spiritual traditions, quantum physics, and modern psychology alike. The present moment isn't just another point on the timeline of your life. It's the only gateway through which transformation can occur. By the end of this video, you'll understand why all your power to change your reality exists exclusively in the now, and more importantly, how to access this power when you need it most. Stay with me, because I'll be sharing practical techniques that go beyond basic mindfulness, methods that can help you leverage the present moment to fundamentally shift your frequency and access entirely new possibilities that remain invisible when your consciousness is scattered across time. Before we can fully appreciate the power of the present moment, we need to recognize a startling truth about our perception of time. The past and future exist only as mental constructions, not as actual realities we can access or inhabit. What we call the past is actually a collection of memories, neural patterns stored in our brain. These memories aren't static recordings, but dynamic reconstructions that change subtly each time we recall them. Neurological research shows that every time you remember something, you're not accessing the original event, but rather your last memory of it, creating what scientists call reconsolidation. This means your past is constantly being rewritten, not fixed or immutable as it seems. Similarly, what we call the future consists entirely of projections, predictions, and imaginings based on our past experiences and present assumptions. The brain creates these mental simulations using the same neural machinery that processes memories. This is why anxiety about the future and rumination about the past activate similar brain regions. Both involve mental constructions rather than direct experience. The only place where reality actually unfolds is this moment. Now, as the ancient Zen saying reminds us, if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. Yet most humans spend remarkably little time actually present to the now. Research from Harvard psychologists Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert found that people's minds wander from the present moment nearly 47% of their waking hours. This default mode of time-traveling attention creates what Buddhist traditions call the fundamental suffering of human existence, being perpetually one step removed from the only reality that actually exists. This isn't just philosophical musing. Your nervous system can only receive information, process input, and generate responses in the present moment. Your cells only metabolize, repair, and communicate now. Transformation, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, can only occur in this immediate reality, not in mental constructions of past or future. Modern physics offers fascinating parallels to ancient wisdom about the primacy of the present moment. In the quantum realm, particles exist in states of superposition, multiple potential states simultaneously, until observed or measured. This phenomenon, verified through countless experiments, suggests that reality exists as a field of possibilities until consciousness interacts with it in the present moment. Quantum physicist John Wheeler proposed what he called the participatory universe concept, suggesting that reality emerges through the interaction between consciousness and quantum fields. As he famously stated, "No phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon." This radical understanding places consciousness, your awareness in the present moment, as an active participant in reality creation, rather than a passive observer. Nobel laureate Frank Wilczek described quantum fields as the primary reality and physical matter as a secondary manifestation. These fields contain infinite potential states that collapse into specific experiences through the act of observation. This collapse doesn't happen yesterday or tomorrow. It can only occur in the immediate now, through present moment awareness. The implications are profound. Each moment of now is a fresh interaction between consciousness and the quantum field, a new opportunity for different possibilities to manifest. When your awareness is scattered across mental constructions of past and future, you miss this point of creative interface. You're attempting to change reality by manipulating thoughts about times that don't actually exist, rather than engaging with the living potential of the present. Even more fascinating is the quantum phenomenon of entanglement, where particles once connected remain instantaneously correlated regardless of distance. This spooky action at a distance, as Einstein called it, suggests that reality isn't bound by conventional notions of space and time. The present moment may be a point of access to what physicist David Bohm called the implicate order, an underlying holistic dimension where all points are interconnected. This scientific understanding mirrors what contemplative traditions have taught for millennia, that the present moment is not just one moment among many, but a portal to dimensions of reality beyond ordinary perception. The power of the present moment isn't just theoretical. It creates measurable physiological effects. When your attention is fully in the now, your brain and body function differently than when you're mentally time traveling. When you're regretting the past or worrying about the future, your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response, tends to activate. This releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, narrows perception, restricts blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, and compromises immune function. Essentially, your body responds to mental time travel about negative scenarios, as if you were facing actual physical danger. Conversely, full presence activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, reducing stress hormones while increasing oxytocin, serotonin, and GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, neurotransmitters associated with calm, connection, and well-being. Research on mindfulness practices shows that sustained present moment awareness reduces inflammation markers, improves immune response, and enhances cellular repair mechanisms. Brain imaging studies reveal that during states of deep presence, activity increases in the prefrontal cortex, supporting executive function, while decreasing in the default mode network, associated with mind wandering. This shift enhances cognitive function, creativity, and emotional regulation, while reducing anxiety and rumination. Perhaps most significantly, presence affects neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new neural connections. The brain can only rewire itself based on current experience and attention. When you're mentally rehearsing past patterns or future worries, you're essentially reinforcing existing neural pathways. Only in the present moment can you create genuinely new patterns of perception, response, and behavior. These physiological changes aren't just side benefits of presence. They're essential mechanisms of transformation. By shifting your nervous system from stress response to coherence through present moment awareness, you create the internal conditions necessary for accessing new possibilities rather than repeating habitual patterns. To understand why the present moment is the only point of access to the field of possibilities, we need to explore the relationship between time, frequency, and consciousness, concepts that bridge ancient wisdom with emerging scientific paradigms. Traditional wisdom traditions across cultures describe consciousness as vibrating at different frequencies or rates. Higher frequencies correspond to expanded awareness, love, joy, and creative potential, while lower frequencies manifest as fear, limitation, and separation. While this language may seem metaphorical, it aligns with our understanding of energy and information systems, including the human nervous system. Your thoughts, emotions, and physiological states can be measured as actual frequencies. E.g., electroencephalogram readings show different brainwave patterns, beta, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma, each associated with different states of consciousness. Heart rate variability, HRV, a measure of nervous system coherence, also exhibits specific frequency patterns depending on emotional states. What's fascinating is how these frequencies relate to our perception of time. When you're anxious, fearful, or stressed, lower frequency states, your perception of time tends to narrow. You become fixated on specific past events or future concerns, missing the expansiveness of the present. Your consciousness becomes stuck in repetitive loops, limiting your access to new possibilities. Conversely, in states of flow, meditation, or profound joy, higher frequency states, time perception expands. Athletes describe it as being in the zone, where time seems to slow down or disappear entirely. Creative breakthroughs typically occur in these expanded present moment states, where consciousness isn't confined to linear thinking. As your awareness becomes fully present, your consciousness naturally shifts to higher frequencies, not through effort or manipulation, but through the simple act of being fully here. This frequency shift is what allows access to possibilities that remain invisible in scattered states of awareness. Ancient traditions describe this understanding through various metaphors. In Buddhist terms, the present moment is where you contact your Buddha nature beyond conditioned patterns. Christian mystics spoke of the eternal now, where divine presence is encountered. Indigenous wisdom traditions emphasized becoming one with great time through ceremonial practices that intensify present moment awareness. What these diverse traditions recognized is that transformation doesn't happen through thinking about change, but through shifting the frequency of consciousness itself, something that can only occur in the present moment. Despite our fascination with psychological analysis and historical processing, methods based primarily on analyzing the past often fail to create lasting transformation. Understanding why reveals even more about the unique power of the present moment. Traditional therapy often focuses on uncovering past experiences, understanding their impact, and developing insights about how they shape current behavior. While this intellectual understanding can be valuable, it frequently doesn't create fundamental change. You might perfectly understand why you have certain patterns without being able to shift them. This limitation occurs because insight about the past doesn't automatically create new neural pathways or energetic patterns. You might realize your fear of vulnerability stems from childhood rejection, but this realization alone doesn't rewire your nervous system's response to intimacy. Only present moment awareness during actual vulnerable experiences can create new patterns of response. Similarly, affirmations and positive thinking often fail because they attempt to override existing patterns through mental effort rather than changing the frequency of consciousness itself. You cannot think your way into a new state of being. As neuroscientist Jeffrey Schwartz notes, the mind can change the brain only when the mind is in a state of presence. Past-focused healing approaches also tend to inadvertently reinforce identity with the very patterns they aim to transform. When you repeatedly tell the story of your trauma or limitation, even with the intention of healing, you strengthen neural connections associated with that narrative. You're essentially saying, "This is who I am based on what happened," rather than accessing the freedom of who you can be in this fresh moment. This doesn't mean we should ignore the past or deny its influence. Rather, it suggests that genuine healing occurs when we bring compassionate present moment awareness to our patterns as they arise now. Instead of analyzing yesterday's reactivity, we notice reactivity emerging in this moment without judgment. This presence interrupts automatic patterns, creating space for new possibilities to emerge. As spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle observes, "The present moment is all you ever have. There never was a time when your life was not now, nor will there ever be." Transformation happens not by changing the story about your past, but by changing your relationship to what arises in the present. If the present moment is our only point of access to the field of possibilities, how do we leverage this understanding for actual transformation? The key lies in specific practices that deepen presence beyond ordinary awareness. First, we need to understand what true presence means. It's not just thinking about the present or being physically in one location. Presence is a quality of consciousness characterized by open, non-judgmental awareness of your current experience, including sensations, emotions, thoughts, and surroundings, without being absorbed in conceptual thinking about them. This state of presence creates what neuroscientists call the witnessing awareness, the capacity to observe your experience without being completely identified with it. From this witnessing perspective, you can notice thoughts about past and future without getting caught in their storylines. You become aware of the aware presence that is witnessing experience, rather than just being aware of the content of experience. This subtle but profound shift is what spiritual traditions point to as awakening, recognizing yourself as the unchanging awareness in which all temporary phenomena arise, rather than as any particular pattern of thinking, feeling, or sensing. From this awakened perspective, you're no longer trying to fix a problematic past or reach a better future. You're accessing the dimension of being that is already whole, already free. Specific practices can help establish this quality of presence. Conscious breathing, simply placing attention on the natural flow of breath without trying to control it, immediately anchors awareness in present bodily sensation rather than mental constructs. Research shows that just 3 minutes of conscious breathing shifts brain activity from the default mode network, mind wandering, to more present-centered awareness. Body scanning practices, systematically moving attention through different regions of the body, strengthen the neural pathways that support embodied presence. Since the body only exists in the now, unlike the mind, which constantly time travels, body awareness naturally pulls consciousness into present moment reality. Sense perception practices involve giving full attention to what you're seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, or smelling right now. By fully experiencing sensory input without immediately conceptualizing or categorizing it, you access what Zen traditions call beginner's mind, direct perception unclouded by past associations. Perhaps most powerful are practices that turn attention toward awareness itself. Rather than focusing on any particular object of awareness, sensation, emotion, thought, you notice the aware presence that is cognizant of all experiences. This awareness of awareness opens access to what some traditions call the ground of being, the unchanging field from which all phenomena arise. Now, let's explore 5 specific techniques you can implement immediately to leverage the transformative power of the present moment in your daily life. First, practice the 3-3-3 reset. Whenever you notice your attention scattered across time, take 3 conscious breaths, feeling the sensation of breathing rather than thinking about it. Then notice 3 things you can see, giving each your complete attention without labeling or analyzing. Finally, feel 3 sensations in your body, perhaps the pressure where you're sitting, the temperature of your hands, or tension in your shoulders. This simple 30-second practice interrupts time-bound thinking and returns awareness to present reality. Second, implement pattern interruption for habitual reactions. When you notice yourself engaging in familiar emotional responses, mental loops, or behaviors, physically change your position. Stand if you're sitting, or move to a different location. Then take 1 conscious breath and ask, what's possible in this moment that wasn't available before? This breaks the momentum of automated patterns and creates a window of fresh possibility. Third, practice sensation before story when difficult emotions arise. Instead of immediately analyzing why you feel anxious, angry, or sad, which pulls you into past-based narratives, first spend 30 seconds simply feeling the physical sensations of the emotion in your body. Where exactly do you feel it? What temperature, weight, or movement does it have? This present moment attention to sensation often allows emotional energy to shift naturally without requiring mental processing. Fourth, use the frequency upgrade question throughout your day. Periodically ask yourself, what frequency am I operating at right now? Notice without judgment whether your current state feels contracted, neutral, or expanded. If you detect contraction, don't try to figure out why or force yourself to feel differently. Simply bring kind attention to the contraction itself, which often naturally allows your system to shift to a higher frequency state. Fifth, practice presence before action for important decisions or communications. Before sending that email, making that phone call, or entering that meeting, take 60 seconds of complete presence. Feel your body, connect with your deeper values, and allow your system to settle. Then act from this centered state, rather than from habitual reactivity. This ensures your actions emerge from present wisdom, rather than past conditioning. These techniques aren't about forcing particular outcomes, but about shifting the quality of consciousness from which your experience emerges. When practiced consistently, they create new neural pathways that support presence as your default state, rather than occasional achievement. From an evolutionary perspective, our capacity for mental time travel, remembering the past and anticipating the future, provided significant survival advantages. Those who could learn from previous experiences and plan for coming challenges were more likely to survive and reproduce. However, this adaptive advantage came with a significant cost: disconnection from the immediacy of present experience and the creative potential it contains. Our minds evolved to constantly scan for problems, replay past dangers, and simulate future threats, creating what psychologists call the negativity bias that keeps attention fixated on what's wrong rather than what's possible. In today's world, this evolutionary programming often works against us. The challenges we face rarely require the emergency stress response that was helpful for our ancestors fleeing predators. Instead, our most important tasks, creating meaningful relationships, solving complex problems, accessing creativity, and experiencing fulfillment, all function optimally in present-centered states. Leading-edge theories in consciousness studies suggest that human evolution now involves developing greater capacity for sustained presence amidst complexity. Psychiatrist Ian McGilchrist's research on brain hemispheres indicates that our dominant cultural patterns have overemphasized left brain sequential, analytical thinking, which excels at time-based processing, at the expense of right brain holistic, present-centered awareness, which accesses broader fields of possibility. From this perspective, practices that strengthen present moment awareness aren't just personal wellness tools, but contributions to human evolutionary development. Each time you shift from time-bound thinking to present awareness, you're strengthening neural pathways and energy patterns that support this evolutionary movement. As futurist Barbara Marx Hubbard proposed, we may be witnessing the emergence of Homo universalis, humans who can access universal fields of information and possibility through present-centered consciousness, transcending the limitations of past-based identity and perception. This evolutionary perspective helps us recognize that moments of genuine presence aren't just pleasant experiences, but glimpses of emergent human potential. The mystics, artists, and innovators who have shaped human culture have consistently been those who could access states of profound presence beyond ordinary time-bound consciousness. Across diverse spiritual traditions, the present moment is recognized not just as a temporal concept, but as an access point to transcendent reality itself. This understanding goes beyond psychological well-being to touch the fundamental nature of existence. In Buddhist tradition, especially Zen, the present moment is where you encounter your original nature beyond all conditioning, what some traditions call Buddha nature. The practice of Zazen, sitting meditation, isn't about achieving any particular state, but about being completely present to what is, revealing the awakened awareness that is always already here. Christian mysticism speaks of the eternal now, where divine presence is directly experienced. As 14th century mystic Meister Eckhart wrote, "Time is what keeps the light from reaching us. There is no greater obstacle to God than time." The contemplative practice of centering prayer aims to access this timeless dimension through present awareness. In Advaita Vedanta, the non-dual tradition of Hinduism, the present moment is where you recognize yourself as unchanging awareness, Atman, rather than as the temporary contents of consciousness. As the sage Ramana Maharshi taught, true self-inquiry involves asking, "Who am I in this moment?" tracing attention back to its source in pure awareness. Indigenous wisdom traditions worldwide emphasize practices of becoming one with great time through ceremony, vision quests, and communion with nature. These traditions recognize that in states of deep presence, ordinary time dissolves, revealing interconnection with all life and access to wisdom beyond personal knowing. What these diverse paths share is the recognition that the present moment isn't just a concept or psychological tool, but a doorway to the sacred, to reality as it exists beyond our conceptual understanding. The transformative power of presence stems not just from changing your thinking, but from shifting your entire relationship to existence. As spiritual teacher Adyashanti notes, the true value of the present moment is not that you're experiencing the present, but that in the present moment, you have access to presence itself, the underlying, unchanging consciousness from which all experiences arise. This presence, with a capital P, is what various traditions point to as our essential nature, the ground of being, or divine reality. Now that we understand the profound significance of the present moment as our only access point to the field of possibilities, let's explore 5 practical applications you can implement immediately to leverage this understanding in your daily life. First, establish a daily presence practice. Commit to at least 10 minutes each day of intentional present moment awareness. This could be formal meditation, conscious walking, mindful observation of your surroundings, or simply sitting and feeling your breath. The specific technique matters less than consistency. This daily practice creates neural pathways that make presence more accessible during challenging moments when you need it most. Second, implement presence triggers throughout your day. Choose 3 to 5 common activities, like opening doors, turning on faucets, or checking your phone, and designate them as reminders to return to present awareness. Each time you perform these actions, take 1 conscious breath and feel your body for just 5 seconds. This practice interrupts autopilot living and creates multiple daily opportunities to shift from time-bound thinking to present awareness. Third, practice the frequency before solution approach to challenges. When facing difficulties, before trying to solve the problem through analysis or action, take 2 minutes to shift your frequency through presence. Feel your breath, body sensations, and the space around you without thinking about the problem. From this centered state, Notice what solutions or perspectives become available that weren't accessible in your previous state of consciousness. Fourth, experiment with present-centered language in your internal dialogue and communication with others. Notice how often your thoughts and speech focus on past or future, using phrases like, I always, I never, you always, or this will be. Practice shifting to present tense observations. Right now, I notice. In this moment, I feel. This linguistic shift naturally brings awareness back to current reality, rather than time-based narratives. Fifth, cultivate gratitude for the present moment itself, not just for its contents. Beyond appreciating specific experiences or circumstances, take time each day to feel gratitude for the miracle of awareness itself, for the simple fact of being conscious in this moment. This meta-level appreciation shifts attention from what you're experiencing to the incredible gift of being able to experience anything at all. The profound truth we've explored today is both simple and revolutionary. The present moment isn't just another point on the timeline of your life. It's the only point where consciousness can access the unlimited field of possibilities. It's where transformation happens, where healing occurs, where creativity emerges, and where you encounter your essential nature beyond all conditioning. What makes this understanding so powerful is that it's always available. You don't need special circumstances, advanced training, or perfect conditions to access the power of now. Each breath, each sensation, each moment of awareness is a fresh opportunity to step out of time-bound limitations and into the freedom of presence. This doesn't mean that remembering the past or planning for the future has no value. Both serve important functions when engaged consciously. What transforms your experience is recognizing that all memory and anticipation happen in the present moment. Even when thinking about other times, you can remain anchored in present awareness, rather than becoming completely absorbed in mental time travel. The invitation of this teaching isn't to achieve perfect presence. That creates another time-bound goal that actually takes you away from now. Rather, it's to recognize each moment as a fresh opportunity to wake up from the trance of time and access the dimension of being that is already complete, already free, already at peace. As your capacity for presence deepens, you may discover what wisdom traditions have always taught: that beyond all the changing contents of your experience, beyond all thoughts, emotions, sensations, and perceptions, there exists an unchanging awareness, a field of pure possibility that you can access only through the gateway of now. What aspect of your life is calling for this quality of presence? Where might deeper access to the present moment transform your experience? Begin implementing these principles and practices today, and you might discover that what you've been seeking through endless doing has been available all along through the simple yet profound art of being fully present. If this exploration of the present moment as our access point to transformation resonates with you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more practical wisdom. Comment below with your experiences of presence. I read every comment and would love to hear how these principles apply in your life. Until next time, remember that no matter where you are or what you're experiencing, the doorway to freedom is always here, always now. The information presented on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only and does not replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a doctor or a qualified healthcare professional for any concerns about your health. If you are experiencing health issues, seek medical assistance immediately. Never ignore symptoms or delay seeking medical care based on information found online. Taking care of your health is essential. Schedule regular checkups with your doctor and follow medical advice tailored to your condition.